AskReddit by raw power. What golden nugget of information do you have to share? Monkeys have a very distinct way of wanking off, and yes, they do wank themselves, which, in contrast to normal human male way of forming a tube with their hands, creates a shovel with their hand and cup their genitalia from under, and repeatedly rub it. I don't watch monkeys jack off, I just saw it in a documentary. Edit, I really don't. Edit, this is like 4 days old, how are you finding this TF? I don't have links to monkey porn. Nope, you can't lie, I'm sure you watch monkeys jack off, that's suspiciously specific. In the center courtyard of the Pentagon, you don't have to salute superior officers. It's a recreation lunch area and you'd basically spend the whole time saluting. So it's not required there. Source, my uncle, an AV corpsman, who currently works at the Pentagon. Stonehenge, the world's most famous henge, isn't actually a henge. A henge is a Neolithic earthworks, oval or circular in shape, sometimes containing wooden or stone structures and surrounded by a perimeter of a bank with internal ditch. So the famous stones of Stonehenge aren't even a necessary part of a henge, just an optional extra. But more importantly, the bank and ditch at Stonehenge are the wrong way round to make it an official henge. So Stonehenge isn't a henge. However, the earliest recorded use of the word henge is in reference to Stonehenge, sewn on henge, Stonehenge, despite not being a henge, is the thing all other henges are named after. If you don't have a toilet plunger, and you've clogged it up, pour in a bit of dish soap, and some hot water, the hotter the better. Let stand for 15 minutes, and flush. Learned this when immediately upon arriving at our hotel, my 8-year-old clogged up our toilet and I googled. Found this gem, realized I'd packed a tiny travel bottle of dish soap, warmed water up in the microwave, and lo and behold, it worked. I still use it sometimes at home when I don't wanna be grossed out by plunging. Yes, my child has a tendency to clog toilets. So there ya go. The real mystery here is why you brought dish soap on vacation. X% of Y is the same as Y% of X. So if you are struggling to find 26% of 50, maybe 50% of 26, 13, is much easier to do quickly. I have some words for my 6th grade maths teacher. Control plus Shift plus ESC opens straight to the task manager instead of Control plus Alt plus Delete and then manually selecting task manager. Horses have massive blind spot on the front and back of their body. If you are ever around a tame horse, keep a hand on their body while walking around them. This lets it know where you are at all times and decreases chances of kicking out of shock or fear. This also prevents them from kicking you with as much force. You need to stay very close to them for the full benefit. This is similar with goats, as they instinctively fight things coming head on and should be approached from the sides. Also, ears are the gateway to a horse's feelings. Pinned back ears indicates an anxious or angered horse. Pinned straight up indicates curiosity and focus. Saw a 3-year-old at my barn ignore this rule and run up behind a horse screaming. The horse was pissed but he didn't kick. If he had, well, that'd be some mess to clean up. If your older grandparents are suddenly acting strange, get them checked for a UT. In older people, UTs can cause a psychotic or delusional episode. What are the chances my parents have both had UTs for 20 years? At the beginning of every relationship, agree to assume positive intent. Talk about it often. Don't forget about it and make it the most important rule. Fights will be less, empathy will be greater, and your relationship will be stronger. I told my wife from the very start of our relationship, if I say something that can be taken 2 ways, and one of those ways makes you angry or sad, I meant the other one. Hot and cold water have different viscosities. Not enough to feel a difference, but enough to hear one when you're pouring it. Here's a vid. https://www.youtube.com /watch v underscore 4ddvczem closed bracket. Even though you have a VPN, it doesn't necessarily keep you hidden if skilled people wanted to find you. There are many things that can leak your IP that you have to isolate and fix, such as IPv6 leaks, DNS leaks, and WebRTC leaks. Also, every add-on you add to your browser, it gives you a unique fingerprint that can lead back to you. You are not as secure as you think. Joke's on you, I used incognito mode. Artillery was responsible for over 70% of combat casualties in both world wars. And 4% of the sand on the beaches of Normandy are still made up of shrapnel. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/war_sand. A scorpion can hold its breath for 6 days, so don't think drowning it will help you out of your scorpion problem. Yep. Was getting into a hot tub once and saw one at the bottom, figured it was dead and was gonna kick it up with my foot, only to hear a loud shit no from behind me. It was eventually scooped out and set on the deck, and after about a minute the fucker started moving around and walked away. A moose can run 40 miles per hour through 6-foot deep snow. Terrifying. Foreign garment to be labeled made in USA, the process only needs to be started and finished in America. In the case of a certain ladies' underwear line, the material is cut in USA, shipped overseas for assembly, then shipped back to America where a seamstress sews a made in USA tag on the item. Source: underwear factory worker. It's crazy how it's cheaper to send clothing across the world to be assembled than it is to just do it domestically. 9 months before Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of the bus, a 15-year-old called Claudette Colvin refused to give up her seat. 2 police officers arrested her. Colvin says that civil rights leaders didn't think a teen, especially one with a very dark complexion, would be a good poster child for their movement. Source for anyone interested: https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/Claudette_Colvin closed bracket. As I recall, her being pregnant was also a major factor. Deleted. It was also illegal to joke about his name in Zimbabwe, so the foreign press used to joke about his name more. When looking at renting a car, hotel room, etc., type in your company's name, discount code, vendor in Google. X, Wells Fargo Hertz discount code. You can get better rates on these items usually. Iron can make your poop color turn black. If your poop is black, that could mean an internal bleed and you should get it checked out by a doctor. If you poop and there's a lot of bright red blood, it's likely a bleed from your anus like hemorrhoids, but you should still probably get that checked out. Edit. Basically anything unusual and persistent should get run by a doctor. Eating 3 packs of salted seaweed sheets also turns your poo black. When Elton John changed his name from Reginald Dwight, he also gave himself a middle name. His full name is Elton Hercules John. The earth wobbles really slowly like a spinning top. It takes about 26,000 years to come full circle. In the process, the northern star changes. This is called precession. It's one of 3 major changes in Earth's movements which are a part of the Milankovitch cycle. Precession occurs 26,000 years. Eccentricity occurs 125,000 years. Obliquity occurs 41,000 years. These cycles all have effects on Earth's climate. For more information, just search Milankovitch cycles. I had a heart transplant 5 years ago. When your heart is replaced, the surgeon has to cut the main nerve that gets the signal from the brain to beat, and or increase the intensity of the beat. Without this vagus nerve, your new heart has no regulation and pumps blood out of habit. You no longer have a fight or flight response and your new heart beats at 90 plus beats a minute. The vagus nerve slows the heart. Epinephrine in your bloodstream, released from your adrenal glands in a fight or flight situation, can still speed it up, though. Also, congratulations on your new heart. I hope you have a great life. Never miss a chance to piss. This is always my go-to. I had a choir practice, in a group of 200 plus people, and I sat right in the middle where there was no legroom to leave. Right before the rehearsal, I thought I should use the restroom. Then, I thought I'm good 1 stroke 2 hours later, I'm sweating, nearly crying because I have to go so bad. I prayed so hard for my bladder to be sustained. I was finally able to waddle to a toilet, and had a moment of pure ecstasy. Summary: never pass up the chance to use the restroom. That a strong sense of doom is a medically recognized and majority common precursor to having a heart attack. Here I am waiting for my heart attack for the 8th year. Edit: as someone mentioned, there is a difference between dread and doom. Armadillos give birth to 4 identical twins always. Yes, just to clarify a little, they bear either 4 or 8 pups. They either have 1 set of identical quads, or 2 sets of identical quads. There are 3 ways to refer to a gathering of geese. 1. If they're on the ground, it's a gaggle. 2. If they're flying but not in a V-shaped formation, it's a skein. 3. If they're flying and in a V-shaped formation, it's a wedge. Similarly, with a group of vultures. 1. If they are in flight, it's a kettle. 2. If they are resting on the ground or in trees, it's a committee. 3. If they're feeding, it's a wake. A single spaghetti noodle is called a spaghetto. I thought a spaghetto was a place where poor Italians lived. When you move to a new place, take a 30-minute walk through the neighborhood. Even if you just stop at 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, it will make it feel a lot more like home. Deleted. Also, goldfish actually get very large and live for a very long time, but most people don't care for them properly and end up suffocating them in ammonia. Get a first aid course, it really does save lives. The concept of 3 square meals a day is a diet designed for people working physical labor in the early 1900s. Quality of diet and sticking to daily calorie limits is the only part that really matters. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter what time you eat, although the 3 square meals model is indeed advantageous for day-long maintenance of energy levels. Basically, it's better to just eat when you're hungry than force yourself to eat when you should, so long as you're getting the proper nutrients, etc. The term square meal comes from the British Navy, where plates were square with raised edges to stop food spilling in rough seas. The Outer Bridge Crossing is a bridge that connects Staten Island, NY to Perth Amboy, NJ. You probably think it was named that because it's the outermost bridge in New York City. Wrong. It's named after Eugenius Harvey Outer Bridge. Wait, is Eugenius a real name? That's amazing. I'm calling my kid that now, so whenever he does something stupid I can go, gee, nice one Eugenius. All colors of Fruit Loops have the same flavor. Also true for Play-Doh. Deleted. Recent grad from UMass. Really wish someone had mentioned this before. Newly registered nurse working on a hematology ward and learned that stem cells smell like sweet corn. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes, award and heaps of useful info. Mentioned by a few in the thread, I believe it's the preservative solution that they are kept in that smells and not the actual cells themselves. My colleague also mentioned this when I asked about the smell. But thank you all for a very interesting thread. PMME your stem cells. The main reason we stop doing something we love is because we forget our love of doing it for enjoyment's sake and replace it with the desire to be good at it. You've inspired me. I should go tune up my guitar and get back to playing. I enjoyed it. I was decent, and I should enjoy being decent at it rather than good or great. Most people replace their computer or run them into the ground when they get hot and slow. When in reality new thermal compound and a solid state drive upgrade can fix both problems and increase its lifespan for about $35 minus $50 and isn't incredibly hard to DI in most cases. Canadians say sorry so much that an act passed in 2009 states that an apology would not be considered admission to guilt. Oh, the eloquence of use spes silence, a language that communicates his indifference to our concerns and the yearning for authentic engagement. It's 100 times better to break up when you're in a shit relationship than trying to fix it up for the nth time. In Germany we have a saying that would translate to, it's better to have it end in terror instead of having terror without end. If you ever have a baseball bat and need to use it as a weapon, put a sock over it so if someone tries to disarm you they just slide off the sock. Time out, time out, time out. I need to run home to get a sock first apparently. Please wait here. I'll be right back. If you carry a baseball bat in your vehicle for self-defense, also carry a baseball glove, even if you don't play baseball. Your lawyer will appreciate it. Till put a sock on my baseball bat and carry a baseball glove as well. People often underestimate how big a billion actually is. An easy way to conceptualize it is to think of it in terms of seconds. 1 million seconds ago was 12 days ago. 1 billion seconds ago was 1987. What's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion? About a billion. There are about 60,000 characters in the Mandarin language. A very literate person will know 20,000. The average person from 5,000 to 10,000. If uneducated, around 3,000. I met a German girl who had studied Mandarin in university. She said she knew about 6,000 characters, which was about enough for her to read the newspaper. Each one of the Yamato-class battleship's main gun turrets weighed over 3,000 tons, heavier than the average US destroyer. If you were on a destroyer in the US Navy during WWII, you ran the risk of having to fight a ship whose primary weapons alone displaced more weight than your entire vessel. And the reason for this is that the Japanese Navy had heavy restrictions from the West on how big air navy could be, before the start of WW2. So to compensate for this they built the biggest battleships the world had ever seen. Heat the back of a spoon gently and press it on a mosquito bite for a few seconds to greatly reduce itching. The heat breaks up the protein in the venom. Edit, as this got traction, you only need to warm it up under warm water. Whilst a 3rd degree burn with a red hot spoon does, technically, work, I wouldn't advise it. PFFFT, I am not eating the bottom of a spoon where I live, buddy. Even if wipes say they're flushable, they're not fucking flushable. You can watch any movie you want at any time by googling the name of the movie in Google Drive, as well as the name of any book and PDF. Happy quarantine. Arguing with a genius and winning is possible but very hard. Arguing with an idiot and winning is impossible. A 30 minutes walk every day decreases the percent of you getting dementia. I keep meaning to do that but always forget. Don't believe everything you think. Stop and question yourself every once in a while.